In this video, I'm going to go over how to balance a chemical equation. So the first thing you should do is set up your chemical inventory. So that's this little chart right here beneath my equation. You list all of the elements and then leave a space for before and after. And that just means before the arrow in our equation and after the arrow. The goal is to get these two columns to match each other by the time we're done. So we start off by just listing how many we have of each element, and we do that by looking at the subscript. So before the arrow, we have 3 Ks, 1 P, 4 oxygens, 1 H, 1 Cl. After, we have 1 K, 1 Cl, 3 H's, 1 P, and 4 O's. So now we're going to take a look at something that's not matching. So like for example, our K's, it's 3 before and 1 after. So what we want to do is make them match, and we do that by multiplying. So we're going to multiply by 3. We go up to our equation, find the K after the arrow, because that's the side we need to multiply, and put a 3 in front of it. So that changes this number to 3. The problem is that it doesn't just change K. If you put a number, a coefficient, in front of a compound, it changes every element in it. So this 3 applies to the K and to the Cl. So we have to change this to 3 as well. So now we need to balance the Cl's. So we find the Cl before the arrow, and we multiply that one by 3, so we put a 3 here. But again, that doesn't just change the Cl, it also changes the H. So the H before the arrow is now a 3. What's nice is that now we are balanced. Our two columns match each other. So this is a balanced equation. You can write the ones if you want in the blanks, but you do not have to. You don't often see them. So if you wanted to just make all the blanks have something, you can put the ones there, but you won't usually see them. So let's try another one. We're going to start off the same way, just counting what we have before we do anything. And then after the arrow, we have 1 C and 2 H's, but you'll notice that oxygen is in 2 places here. We have 2 oxygens here and then 1 here. So we're going to add them together and get 3. And what I usually tell my students is if an element shows up twice on one side of the arrow, you should just save it for last. It will probably work itself out, and if it doesn't, it will be easier to fix at the end. So we'll start with C. C we need to multiply by 3 on the after side, so we can put a 3 right here, and that changes this to 3, but it also changes oxygen. Now what I do see some students do sometimes is take this number and multiply it by 3. But remember that this inventory is just showing you what you have in your reaction. So that's not what you want to do. You want to go back up to the reaction. This 3 applies to this oxygen. So we do 3 times 2. We have 6 oxygens here. And we add that to the 1 here because there's nothing in front of that, H2O. So we have 6 here plus 1. So that gives us 7 oxygens here. So now I'm going to, like I said, still keep oxygen for last. So I'm going to go back up to H. I have to multiply by 4 on the after side. So that's going to change the H's to 8. And now I need to do the same thing where I count my oxygens again. So here you have 4 times 1, so that's 4 oxygens here, plus that 6 that we already had here. So 4 plus 6. So that's going to give us a total of 10. So now all we have left is our oxygens. So we saved them for last, we can do them now. So if we want to multiply to get 10 on the before side, we put a 5 here. And now you have 10. So now it is balanced, and that's why I say save it for the end, because it makes it a little bit easier at the very end, just trying to match them up. So now we'll do this one. We have 2 hydrogens, 1 sulfur, 2 oxygens, 2, 1, and 3. So you always want to save your oxygens for last, but the issue here is that everything else is balanced. So your oxygens are last. So this one is a little harder. Okay, so what you can do to make it a little easier is use a fraction. So you can use a fraction or a mixed number in a chemical equation. So if you want, you can just say that I would multiply this 2 by 3 halves if I wanted to get 3. So you can go up here and multiply by 3 halves. That gives you 3. And then it's balanced. If you don't like having the fraction, what you can do to get rid of it is multiply all the coefficients by 2. So if you did that, you would have a 2, a 3, a 2, and a 2. And that is also balanced. So either way for that is fine. So for the last one I'm going to do in this video, we have 1 Ca, 2 oxygens, 2 hydrogens, and then 1 Ca, 2 oxygens, and 2 hydrogens. So this one is already balanced before we even start. So at that point you can leave all the blanks empty and we know they're ones, or you can write them in if that makes you feel better, but it's really fine not to do that.